Good morning, guys and gals. This is your host, Joe, Life with Yosef. It is Monday, the 10th of February of 2025, and this should be the opening shot of February 25 Extravaganza number 3. I am in Vacaville, which I think is in Solano County, California, and I am in back of what used to be the nut tree. Now I'm going to pip in a picture of the front of the nut tree, and the nut tree was an incredibly famous and historic restaurant and travel stop along US 40 and then Interstate 80. A lot of people ate there. I don't know exactly why that they went tits up, but they did a while ago. Now, I've eaten there. My mom took me there once as a kid as I do the 360 back here, and I'll explain this here in just a second. Somebody's driving up right here. Hold on. We ate there once. I was a teenager. We were coming back from Reading, and I was not impressed. But that's not why we're here. I am fairly confident that this parking lot used to be the parking lot for the baseball diamond that was back here in the 90s. And the Solano Steelheads of the Independent Western Baseball League played here a few years. And I've been back here with the dish watching Western League baseball more than once. Now, I've talked about the Western League when I was at Moana in Reno. Reno had a couple of different Western League teams, the Blackjacks and the Chuckers. And then I stopped in Marysville, and I pointed out that ballpark, the Twin Cities, whoever the hell they were, I don't remember, but it's on the clip. I'll link to it or something or other, but there used to be a team here, the Solano Steelheads, and it was a nice experience. It wasn't expensive. It's hard to make money in independent baseball. In affiliated ball, let's talk about the Stockton Ports as an example. The players are employees of the parent team, meaning the Oakland A's. And fuck you if I'm going to call them anything but. If anything, I'll call them goddamn Philadelphia. Goddamn owners. Goddamn you. Goddamn you owners. So, the Port's payroll is their front office, the ticket takers, and all that stuff, and a lot of the seasonal help. But the players are paid by the A's because they're employees of the A's. Now, I don't know about the workers' comp, but I'm fairly sure that the A's handle the workers' comp as well. And in California especially, workers' comp is expensive. Nevertheless, in independent ball, the team, like the Steelheads here, they absorb all the costs. They absorb the payroll, though these guys were not making a whole hell of a lot of money. I mean, you're really playing for the love of the game, and you're also playing for the opportunity that maybe you got overlooked. And you know where else? By God, we saw independent ball with my bro John and his kids, in Reading. I remember that too. So I do like independent ball. I've seen it in Bend and such. Anyway, the team absorbs all the costs, the payroll. They don't make all that much. The players are hoping for another shot or just holding on to a dream that this is really, if you get released at an independent ball, odds are you're going to be punching a time clock Monday morning. So it was a really good experience back here, and I'm saddened that the Western League, so many of these independent leagues are gone or in trouble. In fact, when I was in Bakersfield a couple of years ago, I stopped out at Sam Lind and had to talk about the independent league, and I also stopped at the Ball Diamond in, not Victorville, Jesus, dude, Adelano. and talked about their team is gone, and now they have a ball diamond with no ball team. So here you see it's been mowed down. I don't know what they're going to do back here, but the nut tree has been mowed down, and it is an enormous retail development now. In fact, this little neck of Vacaville here, right along the freeway on both sides, there's a couple of outlet malls. There's a ton of restaurants. My God, the In-N-Out and the, oh God, the chicken place. Jesus, dude, I'm having a hard time. Not churches. I'll have to pip it in. Their drive-through line was out onto the street, so Vacaville has definitely gone all in retail and in service, traveler services. God love them, they must be making some money at it. So here is where the ball diamond used to be. I'm pretty sure it's here. It's been 30 years, and you know, stuff changes, and you know, my memory's oatmeal. So we're done here in Vacaville. I'm gonna go probably have breakfast in Winters. Across the street from the Buckhorn is the Puda Creek Cafe, and I'll see how I feel if I want to walk through Winters a little bit or not. But I'm gonna go eat. So we'll see what's next.
I'm not going to fold in or repost the downtown Winters walk, but I'm going to add a couple of clips, one of which about this B&B here reminds me of a gal in Stockton who owned a Victorian, and then a little bit about a couple of Alameda County deputies that I spoke to briefly in the Puda Creek Cafe. So I'm going to add that in, but I'm not going to re-add in the 15 minutes of the downtown walk or the restaurant reviews.
Years ago, when I was with the She-Devil the second time, we stayed at an old school B&B in one of these older homes like this. I can't remember where it was, on 101 somewhere. And it was really interesting. I mean, they did a lot of work inside. They had a hot tub in the room and the whole bit. It was way sharp. And then breakfast was a real breakfast. It wasn't like pastry and stuff. They cooked breakfast. It was awesome. And then you sit with the other guests. I guess you could relate it to being on the Amtrak when you eat, you eat communally. I didn't have a problem with it. I had a good time. So I went to Delta with a gal. I can't remember her name now, but she was in her 30s, and she had married a guy in his 50s, and he was a retired Teamster. He was injured or health or something, and he was out. He was retired, and we were sitting out, after class one day, and I made some smart-ass comment about being on the stripper pole. And she looked at me and said, "How did you know?" And I said, "No, what? I'm just being a smartass." And she told me that she used to be a stripper. Now, I don't judge. I'm not judging that. And I'm going to tell you why I really try to not judge. When I was 12 or so, I was riding the bus back from Reading at 12 or 13. I was riding the bus back from Reading, and I was sitting at the window seat, and a guy came up. I got to sit down here, hold on. A guy asked me my name, and now I stuttered a lot worse than I do now. And I'm going to tell you, in case you're new to the channel, I stuttered my whole life, and I got diagnosed with Tourette's about 5 years ago. That's when I got the ADHD diagnosis too. So that day, diagnosis day, was an incredibly important day in my life. Anyway, he asked me my name, and I stuttered when I tried to tell him my name was Joe, and he went, "Hoo, fucking retard doesn't even know his name." 52 years later, I can still feel the shame. The shame that this guy laid on me because I can't help it. You think I could control this stutter or the Tourette's? It's a struggle every goddamn day. Anyway, so I wasn't going to judge this gal. We'll call her X, because I had a bunch of questions. You know, I've talked about. I want to know how I have an accounting AA from Delta in Stockton. Yeah, I haven't filled out the form, but I have all the credits. Full disclosure. I'm interested in the sin industries, but I'm understanding in how they make money and how the finances work. Casinos, drugs, gambling, brothels. I'm interested in all that stuff. Don't ask me why. Hell, I don't know. Anyway, I had a bunch of questions. So anyway, she admitted that she met, her husband was a client, and that's how they met, and they got married. And I thought, well, goddamn good for the both of you. And anyway, they had bought a house in foreclosure in downtown Stockton like this, redwood, a solid redwood house with a giant upstairs. I mean, built, I gotta say, in the 1890s, because it didn't really have a garage. It had like a side driveway with a separate, like not a maid's entrance, but a separate door to a pantry door. It was like a big pantry. Oh my God, the house was awesome, and they were working on it. And the entire upstairs was like a big room, like a big rumpus room, all redwood. And she said, you know, it's great to have a redwood house until you just can't go down to the lumber mill and buy specific sized redwood, like for her gutters and stuff, to try to keep it close to period accurate. He said, I think it was, I needed a 14-inch wide 2x4, you know, or a plank, and it's like, you gotta have that shit custom cut. Holy cow, that's expensive. So all the labor she was doing. And I gotta tell you, my cousin's wife, my cousin in the Navy, they bought a place in San Diego County, and while he was on deployment on the boat, she remodeled the place. I got mad respect for that. She watched YouTube and she took the bull by the horns. Kay, God love you for that. I am eminently impressed with you about that. So anyway, you know, I like to tell 8 million different stories as they pop up in my head. I saw the B&B in the old house, and you know, 8 stories will come from that. So I'm going to post the independent restaurant review, but there were a couple of Alameda County Sheriff's Office pilots, deputy pilots, having breakfast, and I stopped and I introduced myself, and I told them that the dish was a retiree, and I gave them her badge number, and they may have not necessarily remembered her because she worked swings and nights, and I think these guys probably worked days. She hadn't worked days in forever. So, but I told them that she was the dispatcher who dispatched Deputy Monaco on his end of watch call. And I'm going to tell all of you, I don't really say this all that much because it's not really my story to tell, but my wife has passed, and well, any of you in law enforcement or Godwood Sheriff's Office, any of you know, my wife did everything absolutely spotlessly to handle this call. And it didn't matter. She took it with her to her grave. She took it. Could I have done better? Could I have saved John's life? Could I have done anything else? And bluntly, the answer was always no, and her head knew it, but her heart was entirely different. So those of you with Alameda County, just know that my wife loved you guys and gals, and she considered you all her boys. And she took Deputy Monaco's execution to her grave. In fact, we were in Oregon for the 20-year Dublin tree lighting and such, right at Yule. And I'm packing the car. We're in Oregon. I got Chico in the car, and I got the luggage in the trunk. And she just looked at me and said, "I just can't do it." Can we stay home? It's like, of course. I don't know that kind of internal turmoil. All I know is I needed to support the dish. She's my wife and I love her. I love her till her dying day, and mine too. So I want to talk about that. I did pay for these guys' breakfast. They don't know it, and all I said to the server was, let him know that the dispatcher's husband took care of him. As I think that my wife would be very, very happy, though, I don't believe in the afterlife or none of that, but Freya has guided me to honor my wife and her years of service at the sheriff's office by treating these two old scrappers who make, I know damn well, 6 figures. This EV charger is right across the street from City Hall in Winters, and I have a question for my friends who watch, who either own an EV, have rented an EV, or know somebody close enough to know what their EV experience is. Because my 1 or 2 questions are, is it viable as a primary car? Is it viable as a 1-car household? If you want to go on vacation, do you just rent an ICE, internal combustion engine car, and leave your EV at home? I'm really curious. So I got the prices here listed. You tell me. I'm not looking for your opinions on EVs as a mode of transportation. I'm setting that political football aside. I just want to know from those of you with either first or secondhand experience what yours is. And if you could chime in the comments, I'd be pretty happy.
Our next stop after we leave town right here is going to be up at Monticello Dam and Lake Berryessa. I'm going to go ahead and go straight to some bonus footage at the dam, and you'll see that now.
Well, it's the 7th of December. It's my birthday today. I'm 56 years old. I noticed that I've misplaced or erased my last 2 memory cards with all of my videotapes. So, not the Europe tape, but Texas and all that, Idaho and stuff. I don't know what the hell happened, but I need to do a little bit better job of keeping track of my memory cards. That's for damn sure. Anyway, we're going to go to the Buckhorn today for dinner for my birthday. We're going to have a nice dinner. I even shaved my head and my face last night. There's Marie wearing her nice new jacket and a new shirt. We're on Highway 128, California 128, on the Napa Solano County line. This is the Monticello Dam. And here you go. Wind picked up, it got cold all of a sudden. There's the glory hole. You can see the water's way low even for in the winter here. We had some early rains in October. It was dry in November, and it's supposed to rain today and tomorrow. So, Monticello Dam, Glory Hole, Lake Berryessa. We'll see what's next. Our next stop of the day finds us at Monticello Dam, which is in Napa County, right at the Solano County line, with Yolo County being right across. I'm almost sure this is a Puda Creek, but I'll verify it. I have film of me here with the dish and the boy, which I'm fairly sure I'm going to be able to find and all cut in after I shoot here. The dam was built in 1957, but the reason we're out here specifically today is the water is flowing into what's called a glory hole. And it is, instead of the water going over the dam like a spillway, this is in a sense a different type of spillway. And this is the first time in 6 years that the lake has been high enough to where the water flows into the glory hole and then out like you saw on the last shot through the dam. Now the town of Monticello is under Lake Berryessa, and I have some pictures that I will probably find and pip in here. So as I slowly scroll, you'll see the pipped in pictures. And we're pretty much done up here. And we'll see what's next.
The CCR song, Green River, is actually sung about Poudre Creek right here. My brother Mark recently mentioned that to me, and if I remember, I'll put the Wikipedia link in the description. And secondly, the guy with the arrow here up at the dam, he was getting ready to launch his drone. And I asked him just briefly, I said, hey, I just bought a DJI Mini 4. It's under 250 grams and I don't need a license. What do you have? And he said he had a DJI Mavic 2 and he said that he did have a license. And I kind of got the feeling he didn't really want to interact with me and he was wanting to, fly his drone. And even sometimes I know when to read the room, as obtuse as I can be. So I told him, well, cool, well, I'm not the drone police, and I was just interested, so, enjoy your day, my friend, and that was that. But I didn't see any no drone signs either, and hell, if you saw the clip of the glory hole, that's from KCRA, and if they could fly over, why the hell can't we? So I'm going to wrap this up here pretty fast. It's already, almost 22 minutes worth of film. I didn't think I had that much. So there's a little more, and then we'll have a close. 1 CHP unit on scene. There's a car, a truck, a car in the median, and 3 trucks on the shoulder, which I thought was real interesting, but okay. But 3 more CHP responding. There's the third one. The CHP on commercial enforcement truck went by the other way, but I don't seem to be able to find them on the film, so we're just going to go to the close. I got here on Monday, and I was going to leave on Tuesday and do the Stonyford Loop, and I didn't do the Stonyford Loop at all. A week later, I started to feel like I had the flu last Monday night on the 10th, and God, 6 days later, the flu is killing me, and I have some type of intestinal issue that is even too disgusting for me to talk about with you guys on film. So I expect to get to Stockton tomorrow. I'm feeling like I could do it. I'm staying for at least 4 days. I've seen my doctor in person on Tuesday. I know we're going to run some tests. We're probably going to have to discuss the colonoscopy. There's some struggle with that because I don't have any help. Wednesday, I'm going to get the mirror on. I still haven't heard back from their insurance people, so I'm going to probably try a phone call and then sick Flo and the dogs of war on him. If nothing else, I'll just sue the guy. I'll sue him in small claims court. Well, I'm going to send a demand letter, and then the second demand letter will say, and added costs if I have to seek civil litigation. Hell, I'm not going to pay $600 a drive to where he lives for a $1,200 debt. I'm going to sue him for all of it. I don't think it'll go that far because he could just write me a check, but nevertheless. So this is your host, Joe, Life with Yosef. February Extravaganza number 3. Thank you for watching and subscribing. Enjoy your day. Peace be with you. And we'll see you for the next one. Hell, God only knows when that's going to be.